Nick.
Hey, Chris.
How's it going?
Yeah, we're in person again.
I know.
And we're standing.
We're actually What is this? We never stand.
Dude,
Like,
is this a whiteboard?
this is a whiteboard.
Letters on it?
Yes, it does have letters on it. Why does it have letters on it, Nick? Please tell me, because I'm clueless.
I think it's demonstrating that you don't know how to spell the alphabet.
Oh, of course!
It doesn't start with S.
Oh.
And you're also missing E in
Oh,
between
man.
D and F. So
Oh, what? I'm just bad at this, man. I'm really bad at this kind of stuff. I flunked out of preschool, and
so
it
did
was
I.
just,
you know,
bad.
but at least I learned my ABCs before I flunked.
That is true. You were smarter than me.
It
in
was
that
the
respect.
math where I was like 2 + 2 is just 22. No, it's 4. How does that?
I know that does not make sense, but anyway,
Speaking of numbers, Chris, what episode are we on?
we are on episode 51. Wow! We wanted to do this for the 50th episode, but we kind of fucked up, and
Because we don't know how to count.
Exactly.
either.
I fucked up in the numbering of these things because we decided to break them up into seasons, and I don't know how to count past 30. So, yeah.
It was just kind of like a ballpark guess, and you know, we're close enough. So
We're close enough. So what we're going to do today, my fine friends in internet land, is we are going to rank every single episode of the Idiots in a Room podcast. Because this is a tier list now.
And
Yeah.
I guess we are tier list YouTubers.
I guess so. Every single video we're going to do now is going to be a tier list of something. Every single SpongeBob episode ranked, every single SpongeBob frame ranked, every single SpongeBob toenail shot ranked. It's going to be a blast, man.
All right.
So-
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to all of the above.
All right, so anyway, without further ado, we're gonna start ranking all of our episodes. We got them lined out, number 1 through 50. So let's start with our very first episode, Just the Two of Us.
Because I remember having a fantasy about wanting to walk in a straight line in a certain direction and seeing what I'll find, but maybe what I'll find is death, you know? So.
That's kind of an interesting thought, though, you know, because we wake up every morning and, you know, we think we have a plan in mind, but just for instance, I was out running errands before this today, and, you know, there was a truck that just came just right out of nowhere. You know, he could so easily hit me because I was almost right there. You know, you never know what's going to happen.
Just the two of us.
We can make it if we try, just the two of us. Just the two of us.
Yeah, so this was our very first episode when you just were like pitching the idea of, hey, let's do a podcast.
I remember it very well. We were sitting in the Perkins.
That's right.
And we hadn't seen each other in about over a year because it was COVID time.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about projects that we could potentially do, and I had mentioned this podcast, which was an idea of mine before, and you were like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, and then we did it. I feel like it went pretty well. It was our first one though.
Oh, yeah.
So like it was just mostly us talking and catching up and trying to introduce the idea.
Yeah. It was an interesting little experiment. One thing that you'll see for the next several episodes is that I was kind of inspired by the podcast Schmucks, where every single episode had like a different thumbnail and art style.
Yes, I remember the poorly drawn MS Paint of us sitting together in the room.
Yes.
That was, those were some kind of iconic, we'll say.
I thought that would be just a great idea to do. And it was in this episode where we finally established, at least for the beginning, that all of our podcasts were going to be over an hour.
Yeah,
like 50 minutes to an hour.
We really wanted to hit that mark every time.
Exactly.
And, I mean, we managed to do it pretty easily for the first one, I would say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, kudos to us for hitting that goal.
Yeah.
But as we went on, we'll discuss this more later. As we went on, it was definitely more difficult to find things to keep talking about for an hour of time. But for our very first episode, I don't know, Chris, are you thinking C or D?
I am comfortable with giving it a D tier. I'm comfortable with cutting us a little bit of slack for our first episode.
Okay.
Our first venture into this thing. If you feel the same way.
Yeah, I'm willing to stick it on D.
All right, episode 1 is a D tier. And I think old ourselves would probably be okay with that.
If only they knew what was to come.
So let's, speaking of which, let's move on to our second episode.
A gay old time.
So I want to make it my goal to be the most commented on person with their introduction. And I'm thinking, what's the best way to do that? What if I made mine so outlandish that everyone would have to comment on it?
Oh.
Or, you know, felt like it would be the easiest one to comment on for a bonus point, you know? Because
Right.
like I'm looking over some of these posts already. Yeah, and they're just the standard. My name is Jay. I'm from Iowa originally. I love talking in groups, yada yada. This other one is, hello, my name is Cassidy. I'm a transfer student this year. I'm a sophomore in an art ed major. You know, the basic details, just kind of short, little, boring. I don't want to be like that. I want to have a kick-ass, stellar introduction that leaves a mark on this class that I'm never going to see in person.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, my plan is to make a little, I guess, quote-unquote rap song, and then film a video to it as well, and then put that on to the discussion board.
What inspired you with this title here, Chris?
I was watching the Flintstones.
Okay.
That was
Strong start.
That was the actual idea. I didn't mean anything by it except I was watching the Flintstones and I had the theme song stuck in my head. We'll have a gay old time.
Okay, I forgot the theme song, I'll be honest. on
Yeah.
that one, but
So that was basically the inspiration of that episode.
well, then I think this deserves an F for Flintstone.
I can honestly agree with you on that. Did you know that this episode was supposed to have, our first guest was supposed to be in the
Yes,
second
I
episode?
do remember that, and then we just didn't have one for a good bit.
Yep.
We kept trying to pull a third person into this.
If you remember, the original name of this show was the 3 Idiots in a Room podcast.
That's not what it says on my shirt here, Chris.
That's not what it says on my shirt either. What? How did this happen, Nick?
We just didn't know how to count, and so we were like,
Exactly. Again,
get out of
we
there.
flunked
Get the
preschool.
numbers out. It's simpler when it's only words.
Yes.
Only letters.
Yes. People can read it better.
Yeah,
But yeah.
that's a pretty solid F tier, I would say. I think that's when we started to struggle on hitting an hour runtime,
Yeah.
and we were just kind of still catching up on each other's lives.
Because we were doing this once a week at that point, remember
Yes, I do.
that? Once a fucking
We
week.
had a very good pace going at the start. Where have the times gone?
I know. Also, this, I believe, was the episode where we started the Wheel of Topics. If you want to touch on that.
Yeah, so we started to realize that we needed stuff to talk about for the full hour. So it was either this episode or the next one where we decided to just make up a wheel of topics. I would just go online to a random wheel spinner, and we would try to list as much stuff relevant to us or the times on that wheel, spin it, and then discuss and see how far that would get us.
I also want to mention that I never cut any of this discussion out.
Yeah, this was before you bothered to do any editing.
Exactly. I just uploaded the audio files into iMovie, let the entire thing play, and just put like whatever week's thumbnail was Oh, what's on it?
Don't forget the music track underneath.
Oh my god, the fucking music track! Oh, I cannot find that specific music track.
Really?
Yeah, that's why I had to switch over to the jazz soundtrack.
It's an archaic relic of the past.
Mm-hmm. But it was
that old.
It was a fucking horrible soundtrack, that's for sure. Like this pop techno. Like,
oh gosh.
Jesus. And I never turned it down. I never had the fucking decency to turn down the music. I had it 100 and our voices were at 100. So it was just fucking ear rape the entire time and it sucked.
Speaking of, let's move on to our next episode. We nailed it the first time.
So what class are you supposed to have then?
My first class is economics.
Alright.
So,
Well, who's the teacher?
here, let me see.
Because if it's the one that I had, then you're in for quite a ride.
In a good way or a bad way?
I think a good way.
What was the title inspiration here, Chris? Was it because of our intro? Did we
Well, we didn't really have an intro in the beginning. It was just the cafe logo saying Cafe Presents in the iMovie text over like a stock background, and then the episode just starts with no fanfare.
Okay.
Like,
sounds about right.
So basically the title for this came from the fact that I knew we had got it right here, and I'm like, shit, what are we gonna do now?
We're just gonna put this in F tier because
Yeah.
the title itself admits that it was worse.
Yeah, it was not a good episode, and I knew it wasn't a good episode. I knew we were kind of fucked, like from the outset.
Honestly, yeah. No, there were a few of those early ones where I was just not feeling it.
Oh yeah, I've watched a couple of them back, and I could just tell in your voice that you're like, I'm here because Chris is a friend. Like, if I had my own choice, I would be doing anything else but this.
I think the idea of this being weekly was starting to grate on me by number 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Because we just weren't coming up with much new or inspiring to really keep it up.
No, it was all just like, how are you, Nick? How was your week? Are you excited for the fall?
I guess. How about you, Chris? Anything interesting happened in the last 7 days?
School. I'm back at school.
Oh
Wow.
Yeah, because you were still a senior in high school, right?
Yeah, that would have been when I was a senior. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, yeah,
I was just going through. I think it was struggling through college. It was not a great time.
No, it wasn't.
Not a great time.
I think that's all I can say about the third episode.
Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah.
3 heads are better than 2.
I actually had a really fun summer. Pretty productive one too. So, and now school's keeping me pretty busy as well. So, yeah. What's the temperature like over there? Kind of an odd question, but
It's
it's
about 50 degrees right now.
Yeah, it's autumn weather now.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I always like this time of year. It's 48 right now, but this time of year is nostalgic for me. I like calling it the comfortable cold season. I just where you go
love
outside
this
and
weather.
This is when we actually lived up to our name as the 3 idiots in a room.
Yes. And we had a one-time guest on the show, James, who we both know them from high school. They were in our theater group. And that was, I don't even know how I got them on the show. I think I just said, hey, I want to be on a podcast? And they're like, okay.
They'll do anything for you.
True. And I didn't even have to pay them, so like, I guess that's true.
Have you had to pay Doug? Have you had to pay some of the other people on this podcast?
A lady never reveals her secrets.
But you're All right, Chris. Very revealing today. I would say just for the fact that we had 3 of us,
Yeah.
it felt a little more natural of a conversation to bounce between. It wasn't just us anymore.
Yeah, it did.
So I'm willing to stick this up in D tier, a little better than some of the rest in season 1.
Yeah, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about with this episode, and that was our technical difficulties. Remember that?
Yeah, we still have run into those.
Yes. But this was like the very first time we had done it because we were on a 3-way call.
Yes, that's
And,
right.
fucking hell. One of us, like, just stopped working on the call, and we had to figure it out on air.
Oh gosh, yeah, remember that now.
Yeah.
We were trying to justify why one of us was heading out in some improvised humor.
But the thing is, I didn't cut it out! I didn't cut it out of the video! I just kept it in!
I thought you would have edited that down at least a little bit.
At the time, I thought it was funny. Like, oh my god, one of us left, what are we gonna do? We're gonna have to make up improvised comedy. But now I sit there and watch it, I'm like, oh, wow. Oh.
God hates everyone.
People don't really go to our little end of the area to get stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody ever comes over here. Well, no, over here a lot of people come. But last year I was over at a different person's house, and it was so weird. We were like, you know where State Street is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were right there, and everyone was walking by, and we got like 5 people. Everyone just went across the street. So what we did, and this actually got the cops called on us, we sort of brought our operation over to the middle of the roundabout.
Oh, sweet.
And what we did was we put up like all of our Halloween decorations, got our bass speaker, and put on some spooky music. And we just went out there, and we put on like masks and stuff, and we were dancing around. And then I went to take, the guy's car for a drive because he just got a car. And we come back, and the cops are over there, and they're like taking down all of our Halloween stuff.
Now, this title was actually not my idea. That was Doug's idea.
Okay, was Doug on this one?
Yep, this was the first episode where we had Doug.
Alright.
And
I remember we definitely talked about Flintstone gummies for
Yes.
a good portion of this.
Yes, that is the one thing that he remembers about this episode too.
Really?
Yeah. What I remember most about this episode was that this is when I thought, hey, let's do something different for the intro. Movie parodies.
Was this the long Star Wars
Yes,
text?
this was the Star Wars intro, and I regret writing every single word of that because I was trying to write about politics and I had no idea what was actually going on.
High schoolers.
Yep. That one's gonna bite me in the ass later. That was the first movie parody. And
Would you? I feel like for the sake of at least trying something different, I'm willing to stick it up here. But if you feel really ashamed about the
honestly, like the intro itself doesn't truly matter to me. That's just more like bullshitting.
okay,
I think that this was the first episode where we really perfected the 3-way conversation.
yeah, it felt a
It
lot
felt
better
very
bouncing
natural.
off of each other and just goofing around a bit more instead
Yeah.
of just trying to catch up on stuff.
Yeah. So I think for that reason, I'm willing to put it in D tier.
All right, well, I'll stick it in D as well. I don't think it's good enough to be C yet because we're still in early season 1.
Yes. And season 1 sucked.
Overall, yes.
Yeah.
Idiot the Third.
So we're likely not going to be linking this down below. So go find it yourself, you lazy fuck.
Don't be
You got Google. You got hands, presumably. You probably have hands, and even if you got just the one, you should be fine.
Even if you don't have any hands, then don't bother watching it. Gosh dang it. There's no point in watching a video if you don't have hands. You can't clap for it when it's over. Oh dear.
That sounded really bad. Oh my god. You can't clap.
Oh god, is this where Xander was on?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna automatically...
Yep.
Okay, so without going too much into uncomfortable territory, I just remember that we had Xander on as a guest who I understand you're no longer affiliated with him.
Not as much, no.
Without getting into too much, there was some uncomfortable conversation
Yes.
that was deviated into between Chris and Xander.
Yes.
And I was not okay with engaging in it, so instead of just doing the mature thing and trying to intervene or bring up my issues, I just stayed quiet for a solid portion of the podcast and just sat there listening to these two talk about
very uncomfortable topics.
Yes, I later brought this up to my family during dinner, and my sister decided to take the action that I probably should have to begin with, and called out Chris in the comments section about what they were saying.
Yes. Which I'm very happy she did, because once I read that comments, which I can put on screen, I realized that what we had done was not good. And I'm like, okay, so from now on, we're not going to have those conversations on here anymore.
No, I know that you have always had the sort of attitude of like, just say what you want to say and don't take it too seriously, but there were definitely things in that conversation specifically that it was just
it was not a good time. It was not a good time. And even though I'm 100% putting this an F on my own scale, I do think it's an important episode because it taught me that sometimes not everything needs to be said. And sometimes you just need to shut the fuck up.
Yes, I agreed on that.
So yeah, we're putting an F mostly because of the content in the episode.
And we're gonna just move on.
Yep.
It's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. This is hard to read backwards.
My name is Jeremy Fisher. I have a fake Tinder profile.
You do. Yeah, that's right. You gotta. So his name's actually Doug. Last year, me and Shane, I think, set up a fake Tinder profile, and a bunch of 40-year-old men kept sliding right on him.
And one of them actually worked at our school.
Yeah, one of them
that?
actually
Yeah,
worked
like
at
a
our school.
custodian. Shit.
Maybe he's just trying to make a
Likely story.
friend. Willow, what's your name?
I don't know. I must have forgotten after you just now told me what my name is.
It's same here.
It's
I
Willow.
forget sometimes.
Yeah, Willow. I think the most notable thing I can say here is I'm a girl.
It's time for the moment you've all been waiting for, which was a SpongeBob parody.
Was it the whole thing?
Or
is that just the title?
just the intro? The intro was a SpongeBob parody. This was a SpongeBob parody, the title, because of the Krusty Krab training video episode, which is where I got where I got that. I'm ashamed of myself. Do you have any memories about this episode?
No.
No.
No, I feel like it's probably another one where it was just the two of us, and this was hot off the heels of last episode. So I feel like I was just grateful to be chatting with you about relatively normal stuff again. But that said,
you're completely wrong.
Hmm?
You're completely wrong.
What happened?
It was not just 3 people on the show. In this episode, it was myself, Nick, Doug, Nicholas Phillips, Willow, and Xander.
And we were all in that one room.
In the basement.
And we were all having like 2 or 3 different conversations.
At the same time.
And there was just a laptop with the microphone in the middle for us all to try and speak towards, but we were all facing each other away from the microphone.
And then like half of us left in the middle of the episode and then came back for the ending.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, F.
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 Get us out of there.
That was a horrible experience.
Yes, I agree. My one memory from that whole episode, I don't even know if this made the episode, but I just remember Xander bringing up a story about D&D sex. So
That, I don't remember anything about that, but that sounds like him.
the Halloween special.
While we're on the topic of film, I was thinking, what's your favorite horror movie?
Favorite horror movie? I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't watched that many horror movies, so my selection is quite limited, but I think the one that sticks out to me the most is Hereditary, directed by Ari Aster.
Ooh.
So, fun story about that one. When I was 17, during the summer of that year or something, I wasn't shifted for work that much because I didn't want to be shifted for work that much, but I didn't want my parents to think that I was just lazing around. So I would go out some days and just drive around or watch a movie and say that I was going to work. Which led me to go to the movie theater watching movies blind, because I wouldn't look up what was going on and I wouldn't look up the movies. I would just walk in and be like, yeah, I could watch that one. It's like 2 hours long. That would probably kill some good time.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk into the theater and I see this poster for Hereditary and I'm like, oh, this looks like an interesting kind of movie. I had no clue that it was a horror movie, let alone the quality of it. So, not to spoil anything, but it's not the traditional horror. It's just very, very terrifying.
What did we do for this special? It was our first one. Was it just us talking about spooky horror movies?
I think it was. This was getting back to form of just the two of us being in the episode. I couldn't find anyone else to be in this episode, which I think after the last couple, that was fine. That was just fine. And in this one, we were just talking about horror movies.
Yes.
Which is why for this episode, I decided to do a Shining parody, which essentially amounted to like 4 minutes of just royalty-free aerial flight footage of like Ireland. And I put the Shining music under it.
Of Ireland? Why Ireland?
I don't know. I think that was all I could find on YouTube. So I was just like, shit, I need something to do a Shining parody. Here, let's do this. It's not scary at all. It's like comforting music, but I'm gonna put the Shining theme under it, and now it's scary. Halloween.
So that said, I mean, I feel like we definitely had a bit more focus on this episode.
Yes, because this was our first themed episode.
Yeah, and so that helps to carry the conversation a bit more. But would you say it's better than F?
I'm confident putting it in D tier.
I would be too.
I think this was our very first episode where we actually had a goal in mind.
Fair enough.
So
Then, yeah, D tier it is.
D tier. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is an episode that is very infamous in the C.A.F.E story already. And if you know what it is, then you know what it is. And if you don't, it's America's fucked.
I'm curious, it's not going to be as straight of a divide as the first Civil War was, right? Because with instant communication, there's people with all sorts of beliefs in every part of the country.
Right.
There would be some very clear divides, like, I think California and maybe some of the other, Oregon, Washington would be pretty adamantly blue and whatnot. And, the South would generally be very red and grouping up again. But, for the rest of the country, how would that divide work out? How would a war in modern times work? Because that feels like a lot of battlegrounds in a lot of states.
I feel like it would turn into something like Vietnam, where people would be sort of hiding in the forests and burning buildings and then hiding in there for shelter and using it as, shooting grounds, I guess. So if let's just say it happened, I would expect that bigger cities like, Minneapolis would definitely get hit again.
This is where we went political. For the first and...
Well, no, not the first time. Remember, we had a segment on our show for a while called Politic.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. It was a short-lived segment on our show.
But this is where we really divulged into political banter, more like political ranting.
Interesting thing, it was recorded just about an hour before Joe Biden was projected the winner of the election.
So that's interesting. Yeah, we definitely had a different outlook on politics after this was recorded.
We did. So as like a moment in time, I think it's like interesting, but it was a bad episode.
Yeah, I don't think either of us is really qualified to be talking about politics on any serious level like that.
And he was in the news, so you should know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more educated, but that doesn't mean I understand a lot of what goes into it.
Right. So I think it's safe to say that America's Fucked is
F tier for fucked.
Yeah.
We reached 10.
That was the 10.
Now what?
Also, I just wanted to bring this up. I think this whole COVID thing is making us sort of sick of the internet in a way. So I feel like when it's all over, people will actually want to get out and see each other again and not rely on the technology so much.
That's actually a fair point too. I remember in early April, I remember I had spent literally weeks sitting in front of the computer watching YouTube, playing games, etc., etc. And it got to the point where when I would stand up after being on the computer for like pretty much the whole day, my legs felt like they struggled to keep up my body. It was like my body never expected me to actually stand up. And to this day still, months later, I get a weirdly uneasy feeling when I sit in those chairs over in the kitchen where I had my laptop sat down, because I don't know, it's just something about being at that exact level, that exact posture again, that makes me feel kind of at ease. So
what did we ever figure out? Now what?
I think we did. I think later on down the road we got
it. Took us a little bit more than 10. But I mean, we were mostly just celebrating that we had done this for as long as we had.
I think anyone else would have quit after like episode 2.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe we should have.
Maybe after 6 or 7.
But I definitely kind of dropped the ball in this time, because I had my own aspirations for this show, and I wasn't really communicating with you about like what we both wanted for the show.
Not really. I was just rolling with it anyway, and I tried to keep up with your ideas and passion for this because, you're my friend and I want to support you however I can.
Which is very kind of you. And let's be completely honest, you're like 4 years older than me.
Yep.
You didn't have to do that.
No.
You did not have to do. You could have told me to just fuck myself. Go fuck me.
Why would I say that? That's not something I would ever say.
Well, I don't know. You could have just been like nice and turned me down. I'm sorry, Chris. I just don't have time for this. But you stuck it out, and for that I commend you.
Yeah, I mean it worked out overall. I would say.
Overall,
it's not showing it here.
It gets good. I promise. Don't click off the video. But
oh man.
But yeah, I think with this episode, I could put it in D tier and be fine with it. What do you think? If you have a different
I don't
opinion.
remember a lot of what happened in episode 10 apart from us just celebrating a milestone.
Mm-hmm.
For the fact that it is a milestone and I don't remember anything horrid about it, I'm willing to put it in D.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Many will die. Remember what it was about. I was such a little fuck shit back then.
I laughed at your fucking forensics Because
Oh, it was bad.
we met when he was in forensics. He was in 6th grade. I was in 7th grade.
Oh,
And he had this really fucking awful sketch he was doing. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember it was terrible.
I made it up off the top of my head, and I continued with it, and I changed it every single time because I couldn't remember what the actual sketch was.
But I just thought it was the funniest thing on the planet. And I went down with, hey, that was so funny. And we've sort of been, well, not really inseparable, but yeah, inseparable.
That's not the right word at all.
You were very separated, it seems like.
Yeah, we didn't talk to each other for like a full-on year, Chris.
I know, because you never called me.
Yeah, you're right, you changed your phone number. I found this out yesterday.
It wasn't my fault I changed. Never mind.
It is your fault you didn't let him know.
That is not my idea for a title. Again, that is Doug.
Ah.
This was our next episode with 3 people.
Yeah.
And it happened to be Doug. And I think it follows a lot of episode 5.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was all we had to really bounce off of with
Right.
Doug to begin with. Just, he was here before. Was he here for 7?
He was there for 7, but he didn't get much time
Fair
in
enough.
the spotlight. So Doug couldn't be here today. I wanted him to be here for this one, but he is not here. So, Doug, if you're watching this, I want you to know that you're the best guest that we've had on this show. And we're going to have you back soon.
As many times as you want, man.
You are welcome on this show anytime.
No. I don't wanna.
So, I think for the reason that, this is just my opinion, I think we did much better than the 5th episode with him. And we definitely did much better than like the other episodes with guests.
Yeah, I feel like we were starting to feel confident in him as a 3rd potentially if we wanted to go back as 3rd.
Yeah.
But
so I think, if you agree with me, this is our first C tier.
wow. Finally.
We're finally getting out of the D's and F's.
One that rises above the rest. It's not very high yet, but it's risen.
And remember, C is a passing grade in most schools, so
Yeah,
we passed.
D could also pass.
True.
Barely.
Yeah. And in some schools, they even if you have enough, they just push you ahead so they don't have to deal with you anymore.
That's what we're gonna do with all of our ends.
All right, it's time for, after our first big step forward, a pretty major step back.
Life is hell.
Speaking of COVID, I don't know if you've heard, but Pfizer has just released their vaccine to the UK.
Yeah, I heard about that. They were testing it out in small doses, got enough positive results, so now they're slowly releasing it more and more as they're, being able to make it.
Yeah. And that's exciting, We're finally making some progress in this thing.
Yeah, so it'll definitely be over in 2021, but I don't know what point of 2021 it'll be over by, or quote unquote over. There's gonna be some people that don't trust the vaccination still and whatever, but for the general public,
Exactly,
You're really dramatic with some of these early titles here, Chris.
You can definitely say that, and I can definitely agree because they were. And I don't know why I named it that.
Because it didn't have anything to do with anything we were talking about, right?
I don't think any of these titles really had anything to do except for the Halloween special.
America's fucked.
Yeah, I guess. Just the 2 of us. That was kind of indicative because we were the 3 idiots at the time. So
yeah. Life is hell.
I don't remember much about this one except for the fact I remember 2 things. First of all, this took the place of our Thanksgiving episode.
Okay.
We were supposed to do a Thanksgiving episode, and we just didn't get around to it. So this took the place of our Thanksgiving episode. Second thing was I had a guest lined up for this episode, and they could not show up.
Yeah. I think after going through a lot of episodes where we had a third or a group and were a bit more active in conversation, we tried returning to this and it just... I don't remember a lot about it either.
No.
It was probably just us catching up once again for an hour.
And frankly, I don't want to watch it again.
So,
Because, like, why?
Unwatchable tier.
F tier. I'm perfectly happy with that. And now, dear viewers, it's time for an episode that I hold in contempt. Because this episode did not have Nick in it.
I was not present for America is Fucked 2, the sequel.
So it's January 6th, 2021, and Congress is putting a rubber stamp on Joe Biden's electoral votes. And a few Republicans decide that they're going to challenge the votes from the Electoral College.
With violence, because that always gets things done.
Yes.
It never just leads to more violence.
Which originally had a much longer title. And
What was your... Do you mind sharing the alternate title?
Let me grab my phone here. A collection of statements about the government, riots, and all-around boredom that proves that America is fucked.
I don't think that would fit on a YouTube title.
No, it didn't, but that was my official title in video.
What the hell? Okay. And it's just a picture of the January 6th insurrection.
This was our insurrection special, folks. I swear to God, that was the reasoning behind this video, or behind this podcast. I wanted to make an insurrection
Can I
special.
propose that we take this one and Idiot the Third and just stick it right
Thank
on
you.
the bottom
Yeah,
end
I'm
of the
comfortable.
tier
I am
list.
comfortable with that. Those two, I
We'll
think,
just move the
are.
rest over here.
So I have more to say about this episode than you because you were not there.
I have no idea what happened to you. I haven't even bothered to watch this episode because Chris told me not to.
I did tell him not to because it's that bad. Our guests this time were Willow and Xander. And I'm convinced that this episode pretty much ruined Willow and I's friendship because we've barely talked since this episode. If you're watching this, Willow, I am very, very sorry. But I was trying to have a serious conversation about insurrections and the fall of the government and the president not doing anything, the former president not doing anything about it, and just generally trying to make it like a Stephen Colbert monologue without the comedy.
And you had two guests for a Stephen Colbert monologue?
Yes, and these two guests did not contribute anything. Because one obviously knew nothing about this, and the other obviously did not want to be there, so they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it, and they ended up making a chain of paper clips. And that was half the conversation, just about a chain of paper clips.
Brilliant. All right.
Absolutely brilliant.
I think we don't need to say any more.
We could say more, but I don't think we should.
I will say this fell off earlier, so this might not be the best place for them, but if they fall again, I'm not going to bother.
I wouldn't.
If they fall off the chart, that's where they deserve to be.
Exactly. All right, so our next episode, I don't want to preface this by saying after episode 13, I wanted to do another big special with a lot of people.
Yep.
So for this episode, the guests we had were myself, you, Doug, Keegan, Nick Phillips, Sophie, and Colin. All of these people have appeared on the channel before, but when we tried to do our Easter special, it was so unbelievably bad that I could not justify putting it up. So we recorded...
I see, said the blind man.
Yes. But I am kind of excited because the Marvel movies that are coming out this year are only going to be released in theaters.
Oh, nice.
So,
which ones are coming out this year, anyways?
Here, let's take a look-see at that, because I know Black Widow is coming out and Spider-Man No Way Home is coming out.
No Way Home? They're already making the third one?
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know that.
I think Doctor Strange 2 is coming out as well.
Nice.
Let's see. The episode where we were on camera for the first time in a podcast.
Was that really it?
Yep, it was just you and me on camera for the first time.
Yeah, so that whole group one where it was just me on one side and you with that whole room full of people on the other, that was never uploaded, right?
No, it was never uploaded. It has been lost to the bowels of the Apple trash can.
Yeah, because I remember that was just me kind of awkwardly sitting there quietly for most of the time while Chris chatted with his friends.
Yeah, and that was the first time, I will say, that I realized, oh fuck, I think we did something wrong here. I think we kind of fucked up. Now we gotta fix this.
All right. But I'm glad that we ran it back and we still did one with us on camera for the first time.
Yes.
And I'm willing, just for that fact alone, there's a visual element to the podcast for the first time.
For the very first time.
I'm willing to put that in D tier, even though it was probably just us talking to each other for most of the time again.
Yeah. But at least we got to see each other.
Yeah.
And the audience got to see us. Because at that point you had only been in 2 videos on the channel that were like actual videos, not podcasts.
I think that's probably fair to say. Yeah.
So that was really the first time that people had been introduced to this.
First, last, name is.
Absolutely. Actually, I don't know if you've told this story since like the early podcast.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about why now? Because it's our 50th.
Yeah. So
51st.
I just have in high school when I was in like 11th grade, I was really getting into writing my own story projects, and I just realized, you know, if I'm doing this, I should have a much better system of organizing my characters. And so I made my own character sheet, a template for it. And after the name part, the template name I had was just first last Nameson. And so when Chris, at the start, of every episode, I was like, Nicholas Vandevoort. And then when we ended it, I would always say, first last Nameson. I don't know why I started doing it, but it was just a funny bit that I kept up for
a good long while.
I've kind of stopped doing it as much now. But maybe I'll do it again every once in a while.
Well, now you go by Nick D. Niff V.
Yes, yeah. I feel like that rolls off the tongue a lot better than last names.
I think I just said Nick D. Niff V.
Nick D?
Nick D. Niff V, not Nifty Nick V.
Shame on you, Chris.
I know, I should... That's
All
my
right.
punishment. Alright, so now...
Punishment delivered.
So now, after I said the blind man, we took a good 7-month break, something like that.
Yeah, I remember there was a big hiatus in
Yeah.
the middle of it all.
And one day, I was just kind of sitting in my living room, and I thought to myself, hey, we haven't done a podcast in a long while. So I texted him and said, do you want to do a podcast next week? And he texts back and goes, sure, but we have to change it. We have to change it up. We can't keep doing the same thing.
I was getting really tired of just talking about ourselves all the time.
So this was, for 13-14, I had, added in an intro that I thought would be like more consistent. But after that, I kind of lost those files. So I said, well, let's just change it up entirely. So I created the podcast logo. I found the jazz soundtrack. I made a better intro for it, and we titled it.
Here we go again.
Here we go again, indeed. Now we are going to introduce our very first new segment on this show.
What?
Since we started.
Organization?
Yeah, I actually planned this episode out ahead of time this time.
Wow, we should try this more often. Wow. What's our next segment?
Our next segment comes from an idea that spawned a long time ago when I had my own radio program. It's called Deep Thoughts. And we're just going to go through and give out the most stupid, idiotic things we can think of and make them sound like, you know, Socrates wrote them or something.
Okay.
So.
All right.
So
Have you ever thought about the way a paperclip bends?
And I think that this episode cemented our track record going forward.
Do you remember what we talked about or did in this one?
I started writing down some of the topics we had in our episodes in the description.
All right.
So I can...
Better archiving. Already a step up.
Chris and Nick talked for the first time in months about life, influential bands, Andrew Cuomo, and the evolution of bird shit. It's a trip. That's what I wrote for our description there.
Oh, okay. I can definitely feel. We probably had fun with this one.
We did, I think. Plus, it was just the first time that we had really established a true formula. We got rid of the wheel of topics, and
that wasn't working.
Yeah, I'm confident putting this in C tier. If do you have thoughts?
Do you think it's on par with our Doug convo?
Honestly,
I feel like the fact that we had a 7-month hiatus probably gave us a lot more to talk about. I would agree that it was probably a breath of fresh air.
Oh yes, it was.
But you know, I feel like I'm willing to put it up here for now.
Okay.
Just comparing it to the rest of these,
I think this was enough of a breath of fresh air to where we can put it there. Any higher would be doing ourselves a disservice, but I think C tier is okay. This episode has the greatest title in the history of all 3 Idiots in a Room podcast titles. Yeah. You working on any creative outlets, Doug?
Well, damn, putting me on the spot like that. You're doing all this cool stuff. I'm kind of just...
Yeah, man.
I mean, I can't draw. That's true. Failed 5th grade art class, for God's sake.
Dude, actually, same though. I didn't understand any of the like technical stuff about art at that age. It took me a while to finally understand it, but yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm surprised I didn't fail senior art class.
You took art class senior year?
Yeah, I took painting with Miss Reuter. And I am very surprised that I did not fail that class because.
Sorry. Go on.
Okay. Everything that I turned in, she always like nitpicked right down to the very last stroke, and yet I always got like B's on them. Now, do you want to ask me what I was thinking when I?
What were you thinking, Kurt?
I have no fucking clue. I have no clue what I was thinking when I titled a episode of our up-and-coming podcast, I know it's such a great idea, right?
It'll definitely appeal to people. They definitely want to watch this episode specifically. This tells me nothing.
Here, let me see what we talked about
Yeah.
in this one, because I'm genuinely... Chris and Nick are joined by Doug to talk about How to Train Your Dragon, Chris Chan, football graphics, and Afghanistan. It's a wild time.
Okay, the football graphics part. So this was probably not long after I got promoted to my graphic designer position for in sports.
So
that's interesting to time out. Huh. But the rest of that,
How to Train Your Dragon's interesting.
yeah, was that the?
I think that was around the time that
The third movie came out. Yes. Did
So-
we watch that all together?
I don't think we all watched it together.
I've
I think we watched
definitely
it separately.
seen it, yeah.
In any case, I'm thinking maybe C tier, because this was coming off our height of the 15th episode. We had just gotten back into it. I think we were doing it bi-weekly at this point.
Yeah, that definitely helped out too. Not having to do it every single week, so that we could build up and have a little bit more breathing room, time to.
Plus, Doug was there again, so it was another three-way conversation.
The only thing I have against it is the title.
Yeah, I can see where you would have that. I think we've hit our first crossroads, maybe. What do you think?
We're just gonna stick it down there.
Okay, that's a good compromise, I think.
I don't know if this means in between, but I'm just having it down here for now.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just stick it over there.
Yeah, that's
Cover up
fine.
Some of the others.
Yeah.
I remember this one. Take me out to the football games.
So let's move on. This one is an easy one. You should get this no problem. Their color scheme is purple and gold.
Oh god, it's so tough. I can't remember. It's the Vikings.
Yeah. Told you that was an easy one. Alright, so that's 2 out of 6 that you've got right so far.
Yep.
Here's a little bit of information. The Minnesota Vikings are based in Minneapolis and were founded in 1960. They played their first game in 1961.
Alright.
Where you tried to quiz me on football trivia because I told you that I was suddenly working in sports, and so you assumed because I knew I was working in sports that I would be a sports fanatic for some reason.
Well, I don't know. I kind of thought they would give you a crash course on it or
They just
something.
gave me a crash course on how to run the production side. What do you mean? I had to learn the rules of football and basketball all on my own for working this job. I had no idea how sports worked. I learned through working this job.
So yeah, I thought it would be a great idea to have him play 20 questions about sports. I know nothing about sports. I looked up this quiz on Bloomingdale.com.
I probably got like 2 questions right, just because they were probably things like running back versus quarterback
Oh my God.
or fullback.
Let me see. What else did we talk about this?
Did we ever deviate?
I don't think we did. All I wrote here is Chris and Nick play a spirited game of 20 questions about football. It's kind of cringe, lol.
Then I'm putting this in D tier.
Yeah, I think we can. That can go in D tier. That's.
It was okay. I'll admit, clever idea for a focus. Definitely not the right people for it.
No, definitely not.
We are not a sports podcast.
No, we aren't.
Another Halloween special.
And a stroke of brilliance, I think, in the movie is you only see Michael Myers as a kid. And that's basically all you know him as until he puts on the William Shatner mask. You know?
Yeah, I think that's good too. You know, it gives him a little bit of an origin there that you don't see the progression after that, you know, to his modern point, but it still gives you enough to kind of have an idea of what they're up against.
Right. And also something I wanted to mention, unlike in the Rob Zombie film where they spend about
45 or 50 minutes just on the family being white trash assholes, you know, who are like abusive and that bullshit. You know, you never know what the family was like. You never know what the kid was like before he did that. You never know anything except what you see in that opening point of view shot.
Yeah.
So it makes it just a lot more real.
It's the sequel, Chris.
It's the sequel!
What did we do in the sequel?
I don't know!
I feel like I definitely read, because I was trying to write a bit more over the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I had written a horror-like story, and I think I shared it with you a bit in this episode.
Oh shit! This one has chapters! I didn't know this has chapters!
Really?
Yeah, so let's see. Trip to Illinois, meeting up with a friend online, tax returns, working at festival, working on C.A.F.E videos, initial thoughts on The Exorcist, Michael Myers, The Family, Rubber Ducks, Outhouse, main feature, spooky Bible story, Hallelujah, Jesus Christ, Luna and Julia.
Oh, Luna and Julia. I think that is that's the one where it was my story.
That is wild. I didn't do this. Was this just auto-generated by YouTube? Holy shit.
That is incredible if it was. How did it...
I don't know. But that is fantastic.
Okay, well, I mean, shit, that's definitely C tier.
I think...
At least.
Yeah, I think, like, we told... Just by that, I think we told a lot of stories.
Yeah, we definitely caught up on the life a little bit. Maybe deviated from the Halloween a bit, but, you know, it was just whatever, us catching up again.
Yeah, because like I said, we were doing it bi-weekly.
Yeah.
So, I think that, I think that's a good C-tier episode.
Yeah, I would say so too. You know, if we're going to count episodes that we recommend watching, probably C and above.
Yeah, C and above, we obviously S tier. Yeah. But like C and above is where we would say, go ahead and watch them. D and below, stay clear of unless you're doing a video essay about me in like 20 years.
Yeah, that real deep dive.
Yeah.
How true is the sorrow of the lonely?
I have an idea.
Okay,
what if for future segments of the show, we just make shit up and say that they're deep thoughts that we're having, right? Like, we can make it an improvised thing.
True. That's a good idea. That is a very good idea.
Yeah, then we don't have to pain ourselves every time we try to do this segment.
Exactly. You're a genius.
All right, cool. So I guess we'll have to cut out this part, but we need to transition to you in some way so that you can come up with a deep thought, quote unquote, so that we can start playing this off.
Okay. All right.
All right. So now that we've come down from our meditative stances, Chris, why don't you take it from here?
All right. So you know how in space it's a vast, empty landscape.
Right.
If you have a baseball and you throw that baseball, it will go at the exact same speed the entire time it's in space until it hits something. So logically, if you throw a baseball in space, it could go forever and ever and ever until the end of time.
Yes,
and not,
that sounds good.
And not stop going at the same speed. Therefore, if you jacked off in space, your jizz would do the exact same thing.
I hadn't considered this.
We must have been recording this together, right?
We were separate rooms. It was just us. But this episode was when we had just sold our house. So I was kind of depressed.
Okay.
And that was a title I had been sitting on for a while anyway.
So you just wanted to use it somewhere?
I just wanted to use it somewhere because I was kind of lazy at that time.
Fair enough.
Now, in the description of this video, the last couple have had pretty good descriptions, right?
Well,
okay descriptions.
different.
Chris and Nick talk about space jizz. Lots of fun. Space jizz. D tier. D tier.
We do not need to go back and see space jizz.
No, we definitely do not. Oh, and by the way, I want to mention that up until episode 18, all of our episodes have been an hour or longer, 50 minutes to an hour, right? Episode 19 and forward, we start sprinkling in like 30-minute episodes.
Yeah, because we realized like we can't sustain ourselves for an hour every time, and sometimes there's just a more natural point where we can feel it coming to an end. So,
yeah.
This was our very first, very special Christmas special.
No, A Christmas Festival came out on December 13th, 1959, and that was the very first Hallmark Christmas movie.
Okay, at least that wasn't the title of their first one. I was gonna say starting off with a stumble there.
Their first movie in the 2000s was called Flight of the Reindeer. It's also referred to as The Christmas Secret. I kind of like Flight of the Reindeer better.
I like Flight of the Reindeer a lot better, actually. That doesn't sound half bad. I feel like, especially if they made it just less about Rudolph and more about all of the reindeer, that'd be kind of cool. Because I don't know about too many Christmas movies that do that. But it's a Hallmark movie, so I assume that's not what it's about at all.
Let's see. In 2001, their two movies were called A Town Without Christmas. Pretty standard, right?
No.
And
the Grinch got one.
And the other one they put out was called The Sons of Mistletoe.
Okay.
At the mistletoe home for boys, 'tis the season for miracles. That's the description of it. The Christmas special, this is interesting. So everyone probably knows about the hour-long C.A.F.E Christmas special that I made in 2021.
And
right?
if you don't, now you know.
Yes, go. Honestly, I would stay clear of it. It's very good. Just watch Jingle Ball Cock. That's the best part of it. And you might be a heathen part. That was pretty funny.
That was fun. Yeah. I like that.
But in any case, so part of that original Christmas special was supposed to be Idiots in a Room podcast cut up and sprinkled into that full Christmas special. Obviously, that didn't happen. It was originally supposed to come out in 2020.
And massive delay.
Yeah. So I put up the Christmas special just by itself with some extra added things in, and we recorded a very special Christmas special the next year.
Yeah, I mean, it was just talking about Christmas, right?
Yeah. I think we were starting something, like as you know, later on we got into more themed podcasts.
Yes.
And in the first few minutes, I thought it was going to be kind of like that, because you introduced yourself as Saint Nick.
Yes.
And I thought we were going to go on with that. But then...
No, I broke away because I was just like, well, let's get back into the normal stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think this definitely gave us the idea to branch out a bit more into what the podcast has become more of nowadays.
Yeah, it took a little bit after this, but I think we kind of realized, like, oh, this is a good idea.
Like, that's where our strong suit could be.
Yeah. And from what I remember, let me check the description. Hopefully I wrote more in this description. Oh, that's so boring. Merry Christmas and a happy Christmas from your favorite idiots, Chris and Nick. That's so boring.
So, okay, we were probably just talking about Christmas.
Yeah. But I think because of our future endeavors, I think we can put it in C tier.
It's not, I doubt it's anything, unwatchable. It might not be the most entertaining, but hey, if
it's something.
The first few minutes, I'm saying that. New year, same idiots.
So I'm, stocking bananas or some shit, and I see this guy, he's pretty close to me, so I say, "Hi there, how are you?" And he just comes over and goes, "Are you a fucking Democrat?"
What the hell?
And I'm like, yeah, I was like, what the fuck? And I just said, I am not at liberty to say. And he said, "Good fucking answer," and walks away. And I'm like,
was he looking to start a fight?
I think he was.
Some random person in a grocery store. He was just saying hi.
I really think he was. It was so spontaneous. And I couldn't believe that I said, I'm not at liberty to say, because any other time I probably would have, just stood there frozen. But, I was...
Well, I'm glad you did say something, because it is better than saying nothing in most cases, but...
Exactly. Because in that case, if you say something, if you say nothing, he wins, but if you say the wrong thing, he also wins.
Still the same idiots years later.
And now let me see what I wrote for this episode, and please be something good.
We were probably just talking about New Year's celebration and our plans, or maybe
Chris and Nick discuss ear and toe infections, childcare, and Spider-Man. Fun times to be had by all.
Wait, no, okay, I remember the first part, because this was, literally January 2nd, I was hit with a very bad ear infection that had me going into vertigo. I had to go into the hospital, and I literally laid in bed for 3 days straight afterwards.
I think for the first 10 or so minutes, we're just talking about this. I don't remember much about this episode besides the ear infection part, which you talked for about maybe 15 minutes about, because that was on your on your mind.
Yeah, it was a big part of my new year. It was right at the start. And then I also divulged into the time I had a toe infection and then cut it out myself. So that was the other part of that.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe lower C.
Yeah,
as well.
Lower C. I don't think it's bad enough for a D tier.
I agree.
But
as
it's
we
just
went
kind of a
on,
nothing episode.
As we went on, our conversations were a lot more, I would say, they carried through the podcast a bit more.
Oh yeah,
we didn't feel the need to latch ourselves onto an hour. But yeah, you can skip this one if you want, unless you want to hear the toe infection story.
Which is an interesting story. Next episode, this was a turning point for me, because at this point I had recorded every single episode of the podcast in the original house where C.A.F.E was started. But this was our first episode where I recorded somewhere else because we had just moved. So that's my my big change in this episode.
Another podcast in the wall.
Am I coming through okay on your side? It sounds choppy in my headphones.
You sound fine to me, yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's just the audio feedback or something.
Yeah, or get new headphones.
Probably.
Is it on your? Is it attached to the headphone?
No, it's
the microphone.
It's plugged into the computer.
Yeah, that might explain the difference then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't give me a very inspiring idea as to what this podcast was about.
The title comes from Pink Floyd, obviously.
Yes, I know that much.
And I remember the description of this video. Chris is very tired, because at this point I've been working so much, and I just didn't want to reschedule the podcast.
So it was probably, I imagine this was a shorter one as well, because I could feel that
22
you were
minutes.
Yeah, maybe not because we really wanted it
No.
Okay, no offense. I'm willing to put this in D.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But it does push for that format later on.
Yeah.
Which we are almost there, guys. We are almost above a C tier. I promise you.
We knew that this was going to be the case. We knew that season 1 was going to be mostly down here. What are we even doing, man? What are we doing?
What the fuck are we doing?
All right. Have you seen any films lately?
I haven't seen any movies recently, but I've been watching the Book of Boba Fett.
Ah.
And that's been really enjoyable.
Is that a new series on Disney Plus, or is it just like a new season?
It's a new series.
Ah, gotcha.
And it's like the sequel to The Mandalorian, kind of.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Have you finished The Mandalorian at all?
Nope.
Do you have any core memory of this episode?
The only thing I really remember about this episode was I was starting to get bored.
Oh.
I was really starting to get bored because we had started so strongly with episode 15 going on, but by this point I'm like, okay, so we have our format. We have we look more professional, but are we more professional? Or are we just doing the same thing we were doing before, but with a shiny coat of paint?
Okay, so this must have been where we were really, I think after this podcast, we're questioning what should the new format be going forward?
Right. This one and the next one were episodes where we kind of stuck to what we were doing before, but we had it in our heads that we had to change something soon, otherwise this wasn't going to be sustainable.
Yeah. We had gone for 20-some episodes, but look at this tier list.
It's
how many of them were really worthwhile to look back on?
Except for 6 of them, they're all D tier and F tier.
Yeah.
So how are we supposed to go on?
This one is just going to be another D tier.
Exactly. So at this point we were just saying to ourselves, what do we do now? How do we go forward from this? And our next episode, I thought in the beginning, I had it, and then you did not pick up on the joke.
No.
So it was another episode.
I love the rain.
Yep.
So, earlier today, I get out of bed every day, 5 minutes after waking up, I reach over and grab some multivitamins.
Okay.
So I gotta stay healthy.
Okay.
So, I pop it open, and then I see there's only 3 left. And the dose is 2 per day. So the question is, Chris, what do you think the right answer was? Do I eat all 3 in one day and consume more strength than I am recommended to take? Or do I take the normal dose today and then just be a little weaker tomorrow?
See, I think you're going about this the wrong way because there's a very simple answer here.
Mm-hmm.
You take 2 today, and then tomorrow you cut the last one in half. Then you're taking 2. See?
Okay, and then the next day you cut that one in half.
Exactly. You just cut it in half forever.
Because you just opened up singing I Love the Rain.
Yep, yep. And if none of you have ever heard this song, it goes as follows. I love the rain, the world seems mighty pretty, in the pretty little night in the rain, to wash away our troubles like a million bubbles. They rush off to the deep, dark drains. In the rain, the beautiful rain, my life is full of pain in the rain. And then you were like,
wow. Something to that effect. You can replay it. Let's have a side-by-side comparison of you singing now to what you were singing back then. Yeah, if you were expecting me to pick up on this being a musical episode or something, it did not work.
And do you want to explain why?
Yeah, I was high.
I found out about this very recently.
Yeah, so I'll also just admit this. There were a series of episodes going on around 2021, 2022 where I was high because I was just in a very bad habit of doing it. Yeah. I had a roommate who would smoke every day, and I liked to smoke with him because it was just fun to kind of free my mind. But when he moved out and I was just in the apartment by myself for a while, that habit did not go away. So, yeah, no, there was just some episodes where I was not picking up quite as much what they were putting down.
Yeah, and I think this was the straw that broke the camel's back, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, we really wanted to switch.
Yeah, we realized it had been built. Like I said, it had been building for a while, but we realized that we had to do something different. Otherwise, we could not go on like this.
Not sustainable at all.
So we actually met up in person
and
we
had a good heart-to-heart.
Yep.
Really talked about like what we could do for the format, if we wanted to continue it. If
we wanted to just quit. And maybe it was you that said that we should try and do them themed. Like have a steady theme throughout the episode that we can always just fall back on.
Yes, because if we just don't have anything else to talk about, then that would be the nice fallback for us to keep going and run it out further.
Right. So that led to our very first themed episode, which in hindsight was not our strongest, but it was getting there. It was a start.
On your left, you'll see nothing, where we both pretended to be co-pilots.
Yep.
Flying a plane until we decided to just crash the plane at the end.
Shit, I thought we were on lunch break. We're still flying the plane?
You didn't know that?
Are you still holding down the intercom? We shouldn't be saying this to the passengers.
My fingers.
Get your hand off of the shit. Don't worry, everybody. We are en route to what's our destination? Fuck, I forgot.
I forgot too. Shit.
You're the pilot. I'm the co-pilot. No, you're supposed to remember this.
God damn it, you son of a bitch! I thought you had it in your fucking hat.
What? No, my hat. Why do I only keep sushi in my hat, Chris? Why would I keep anything else up there? That's just ridiculous.
I don't know. I'm not the one that ate the fucking babies.
And that was the episode. And we did divulge into our usual shtick for a little bit, but it was very nice to have something where we could just like, okay, we're out of topics. Let's go back to our original start.
Yeah, like what's next? What are we seeing on the plane? What are we flying over? So I would put this in C tier.
Yeah, our first C tier in a little bit. But I think it was very well deserved. I think it set a precedent for our next couple of episodes, which if you want to grab
we followed that up for a good while and just leaned further and further, as you can see, into the March Gone Madness.
Yes.
Okay, so, first we have Basket JH playing guard. On defense, we have John Soccer Ball.
A descendant of Soccer BH.
Yes,
as
and
we all know.
You know, he's not the best player, but I think
Trying to live up to his grandfather's legacy.
Yes, and it was
being the son and all.
It was very nice of them to let him on the team in that case. On offense, we have the only. This is really interesting. The only golf ball to ever be put onto a basketball team.
I haven't seen this one before.
Yes.
What's the name of this player, Chris?
Pretentious Cocksucker. That's his name.
Well, no wonder I've never heard of him.
Which, like Take Me Out to the Football Game, was basically based on the idea of Nick being in basketball production.
Yes,
now.
this was the March Madness season, or at least it was coming up. Mm-hmm. We just wanted to do one themed around that, but of course neither of us know much about sports, and so instead of just detailing like what was actually going on,
we made up a new sport.
Yep. It was just balls, just basketballs sitting on the court.
But I think it was really funny, actually. Especially, you might not think this was funny, but when I screamed the Star Spangled Banner.
That was just me trying not to cover my ears. I'll be honest.
But overall, I think if you agree with me,
we both had fun with this.
I think this is the first B tier episode. We finally got there after 26 episodes of basically nothing, with a few exceptions.
This is the podcast where I was really feeling like I had fun after recording that one. Like, this was fun, and I really felt confident in us moving forward with this kind of idea.
And I think from this point forward, we're going to be not seeing any more of these.
Maybe one or two, but
maybe. But like the rest are going to be C to S, I believe.
all right.
So let's move on to our next episode.
Where we decided to go on the great Easter Bunny hunt.
Well, I'm hunting the elusive Easter Bunny. I want his pelt to take it home as a personal trophy.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry to inform you of this, sir, but I'm also after that there Easter Bunny. And I think I've been trying to get him first.
You backstabbing bastard!
Wait, no, put the gun down. Sir, wait.
Get back behind that tree, mate.
No. Alright. Wait, we can settle something out here, alright? We don't have to fight each other over this, I'm sure.
Why not? That's the fun part.
Okay, look. Once we see the Easter Bunny, I say it's free game. Whoever gets it first gets it. But until that point, you know, the Easter Bunny is just so elusive. I've been trying to find him for like 5 days now. It's not a very pleasant hunt. It's getting kind of rainy. It's April. I mean, it rains all the goddamn time now. So it's not good camping season.
Yes, I forget our character names, but we were separate hunters, both trying to trap the Easter Bunny, and we ran into each other.
You were like a southern one, and I was trying to be an Australian one.
Who cares? We messed up the accents for sure.
But I had a lot of fun with this episode too. We weren't in the same room for this,
of course,
but I think we did pretty good. You know?
Yeah, we worked well off of one another, just on our funny voices and the skit idea. So
yeah, so I think B tier,
of course,
is good for this episode. Now this next episode is special for me because this was the first podcast that I recorded here in this house, and that episode is
the Wacky Whalers.
Eyes closed.
Yep.
Right.
Eyes perfectly. Both of them, yep, fully shut, for sure.
Alright, let's see. Little does he know that there are 5 holes in this boat. Now I take the duct tape, which is the worst type of packing material. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That shit comes off so quick. And I'm just going to zip, 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 zip. There. Now all 5 holes are covered, but little does he know that when he gets into the boat, he's going to sink! Okay, Mr. Vandevoort, you can turn around now.
Are you sure? Is this not like a trick or anything? I made sure to keep my eyes closed.
No, this is not a trick whatsoever. You're perfectly safe. You can turn around.
Okay. All right. Turning around, and where'd you get the duct tape from?
Oh shit. I won it in a strip poker game. Yeah, that's where I won it. Yeah.
Strip poker, and the prize was duct tape for not stripping down to your naked body. That's what you won. Okay,
weak prize.
I'm not gonna question. No, I don't want to know more about it. I'm not gonna question how you choose to live your life, but I just feel like you could have gotten a better reward. Moving along.
It had a similar feel to this episode, but the entire concept was basically brought on about the fact that neither of us had read Moby Dick, so we decided to do Moby Dick.
One of us was like a spy or something?
Yeah, it was, you were the spy.
Yes.
You were the spy, and there was like another ship that nobody could see, but it was like right next to us. And you were trying to find out like how close we were to the white whale.
Yeah,
something like that.
Okay, I remember that bit. Yeah, I was just looking over to make sure there wasn't another spy-themed one, because I was like, yeah, I remember him being on the boat for some reason.
But that was a really funny one. So I think B tier for this.
Yeah, just a solid stretch of B tier episodes as we're getting into the flow of something different.
Yeah. And now is our next episode, which I'm kind of partial to. I like this episode.
It was an extended history of time.
I know. Here's something that our listening audience has never heard before. What really happened at the Big Bang?
Okay.
So
Wow.
how about we rewind the clocks back to the start of everything, to
Alright.
the Big Bang.
Let me get the clocks out. I'll start spinning them back. All right. Time travel, begin. We're here.
Where?
Wait, you're the one who said it. Where are we?
I don't know.
There's nothing here, Chris.
Exactly. There's nothing. It's all black. I can't see a thing.
Did we? We don't know when the start is, do we? You just kind of turned that way back and thought we'd get it.
Well, I mean, you're the one turning the clocks here.
Give me
I'm
that
just
goddamn
mentioning it.
thing back. Yeah, look, we'll set the clock here to when they first started learning about the Big Bang. Maybe that'll help more to find out when we can travel precisely back in time, right?
But I don't think that will work. They found out about the Big Bang in like the 60s or something like that, So we're just going to be going to the 60s and then getting the oddball date that they came up with. And actually, I think we might have been right, because look out there. Do you see that that tiny little light that's kind of getting bigger?
No.
We were time travelers, and we went back to the very beginning of time. We went back to the dinosaur era. We went back to Abraham Lincoln time, I think.
Maybe.
And then I think we ended the episode off by going back. There was something about 9/11 in there too.
Oh no.
I would have to watch the entire thing again, but I think it was a very good episode for what it was.
I don't remember too much of this one, if I'm being honest. I knew that we were time travelers. I just forget about what periods of history we visited. I remember more of the time traveling plot in the next episode.
Yeah, which we'll get to in a second.
I'll put this
low
down.
B tier, I think, is okay for this, but it's still a B tier. It's still,
Yeah, we had more fun with these set of episodes. We've been feeling really good about them. That's why we kept it up.
Yeah. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the season finale.
After 30 episodes. That's over half of the episodes we have in existence right now, Chris.
Yeah.
Our first season
was
this.
All of this is season 1, and we ended off with episode 30.
It never ends.
It never ends.
It'll never end.
Okay, so the vast expanse of space is bad for what reason? Again, just clue me in on that, please.
We're lost and drifting without direction. There's no oxygen, and is that a fucking black hole?
You haven't noticed that? We've been sitting in front of it for like 5 or 6 days now.
No! I was trying to get you to drive the ship because you're the captain now!
You think that matters to me? I needed my sleep, okay? I needed some rest, right? You probably needed some rest too, but you didn't get it. So that's why you're being a crabby grumpy pants.
Look, at the very least, I thought the AI systems would probably warn us about something like this, but I guess they didn't anticipate that 2 idiots in a spaceship would get that close to a black hole.
And my whole concept for this was, well, this is our season finale. Let's go back through the last 5 episodes we've done, and then end it off by ending on the first episode we ever did of this show, and then just make fun of ourselves for our very first episode.
This was the most structured idea we had
to this point.
Yes, and I think you actually tried doing a little bit of editing with this one too.
Yes,
because
I
we
did.
jumped back through these different episodes.
Yeah.
Especially to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
confident in putting this in A tier.
I feel okay with that too. I mean,
this was the episode that took me the longest to format out, even of the later episodes, and it took the longest to edit together. No, that's a lie. There's one that took longer.
but this was really us taking all of these stretch of good episodes that we really liked doing and creating a proper ending for them to cap off the season and move into more of what we wanted to do. Just give it a refreshed season. Yeah.
Which was video podcasts.
Yes.
Except for episode 14, every single one of these was an audio podcast, which was essentially what we had at our disposal at the time. But then when we moved in here, I set up the studio in the other room, and we began our second season with...
We're back, and we're sorry.
The terrorist groups inside Islam sent multiple death threats to the creators of South Park for putting Muhammad on South Park. So,
okay,
we have to be careful about that. We can't show them, but we can imply.
That doesn't feel a whole lot different from getting death threats for using Jesus in vain from Christians, diehard Christians.
Well, that's true as well. We should stop talking about this before we get in trouble. So,
no, I think we should keep talking about this until we get into more trouble so that the ratings go down so much they can only go back up.
Alright, then say the most offensive thing you can about any religion you want. Go.
What? What? What, do we have to bleep that one out? Was it that bad?
Moving along.
We should have been sorry. But actually, I think this episode was very indicative of where we were going in this next season.
Alright.
And I'm pretty proud of this episode.
So, was it just us trying to talk while on video, or did we do any sort of skit?
Our skit was that we were giving the audience a sneak peek of everything that was going to be done in season 2, which at the time was going to be 30 episodes again.
And half of it was just not real, right?
No, I don't think any of it was real. Because I actually done something very interesting for this, and you might remember this. I had written out plot lines for every single one of our episodes that we were going to do that season.
More effort. I remember, and we actually followed.
We followed
pretty
a
much
good.
all of that.
The original idea was for 30 episodes, like in season 1. But obviously that changed, which I'm kind of glad about.
Yeah, the pacing was better.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're back and we're sorry. Do you think that's?
I think it's a low A tier.
All right. Yeah, we can put it below our finale here.
Yeah.
A good follow-up.
Mm-hmm. Which leads into our next episode, which is our first video podcast with a guest.
I kinda met the dead man.
And then I think at 8:10, that's when Keegan got here and saw the two figures.
Right.
Supposedly two figures running off into the shadows.
So when we got here, Chris picked me up. We got to the house. Chris said, "Hey, I'll be right back." And I went to the bathroom, and then I came back, tripped over the carpet, kicked it, and then we were all in here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Of course, that was after you saw the two shadowy figures running into the shadows.
Somewhere,
yeah. Do you know which way they ran, by the way?
Away from the bathroom?
Seems like maybe towards one of our other directors' room. Not sure.
Other directors' rooms. Well, Chris, you're the only one with a director room, are you?
I think we're out of water. Yes. Yes.
No, there's plenty of water.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Do you have any memories about this one?
Was Was there a skeleton involved?
No, that's our next Halloween special.
Okay.
So this one was with Keegan.
Okay.
And this was his only podcast appearance. We were trying to frame him for a murder that we had committed.
I remember that.
Yeah, we were trying to frame him because he had just shown up and there was a body, and we had done it.
And we were trying to gaslight him. And he did it. I remember this now. That's funny.
I think that was a pretty funny episode. Where would you put it?
I think I'd put it in B.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I just wanted to see if you had the same thought.
Like, it still follows pretty well with a lot of our skit ideas. I just don't know if it's our strongest one.
No, our strongest one is coming up, and I think we can both agree on what our strongest one is.
The
one where they talk about Thanksgiving.
Oh wait, no, this is another Halloween special. You're skipping a holiday.
I skipped a holiday. No.
Is there anything else spooky related we want to touch on before we close out?
I actually do have a spooky power that I have never told you or anyone watching.
Well, look at the new superhero over here.
Would you like to know what this very spooky, scary power is?
No.
No?
But I bet the audience would.
All right. I can turn myself into a skeleton.
What, like remove all your flesh? It just like drops, or you turn into a skeleton?
I mean, you don't see it. It's just instantaneous. Like, I can show you. Like, if you really want to see.
You know what? Show me, Chris.
All right.
Hello.
Oh my God! What? How did you do that? I told you it's instantaneous.
I didn't even see any flesh or whatever fall off. How? Chris?
Yeah.
And this is your arm and sorry, maybe I shouldn't touch. Is it like fragile?
Kind of. Yeah, that's why I don't really move them that much. But you know, this is just something I do. Every
You
once
know
in a
what?
while.
I think I know what I need to do next.
What do you need to do next?
I'm sorry, Chris.
Ah!
He's dead! Yeah, finally, it's my show now. All right, everybody. Welcome to the One Idiot podcast. We are going to do a whole revamp of the show. First of all, we're gonna put borders on the side. We're gonna have a big dangling pumpkin from the mid.
Why'd you punch me?
He's dead! Alright! Chris, you're going in F tier for that one.
I deserve to go in F tier for that one. Anyway, this episode began with a short film.
What was the short film?
It was a thing that I did with my friend from my writing class, Corbin.
Alright.
Yeah, what did I call it? The Bridge at the Edge of Eternity.
I don't know if I've seen that one back. That's interesting to hear that you actually put a short film at the start of one of our podcasts.
I should play that for you after we're done recording this.
Yeah.
Another Halloween special. This was the one with the skeleton. I just turned into a skeleton at the end.
That was funny. I remember that.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a fun one. I've said that like 3 times.
Yeah. Well, with the effort that you put into making a short film for this, I'm willing to stick it in A if you are comfortable with that.
Yeah, I think I'm comfortable with that. Boom.
The one where they talk about Thanksgiving.
So, how's your son?
He's still dead.
Come on, man.
You gotta get on this resume.
My whole family is dead. What do you want me to say? My ma is dead, my pa is dead, my brother's dead. You didn't even know I had a brother.
No, I didn't.
Well, I have one, he's dead.
More like you had one then, right?
I resent that.
Fair. I resent you.
Me and Tristan, we killed your goldfish an hour ago, so everything's dead.
Damn, dude. There's like nothing left for you.
Gills, Mr. Gills.
We didn't realize putting that much semen in a fish tank could kill a fish.
Oh shit. That's a very lethal execution.
Why do you kill Mr. Gills?
You know, that just clogged me. That's like pollutant, dude. Shit. They suffocate on that. you? Are you? I think the meth's kicking in again.
You remember this episode, right?
Was this where you gathered your friends and we all had a fake dinner?
Yeah, it was Colin and Tristan. Colin's been on here before. That was Tristan's only appearance.
All right.
And they were like drug dealers.
Yes, I surprised drug dealers. I
They did not tell me that they were doing that before the episode started. They just sprung it on us.
Then we ran with it.
I remember you had a lot of fun with them, even though you had met them for the first time.
Yeah, I feel like they just really leaned into the spirit of the podcast, especially creating their own bit. Yeah, they were playing off of us really well. I don't know. I'm feeling like this could be our S tier.
I think this is our first S tier. I'm willing to put that up there with you.
Still a lot of shitting around, but
yeah, but this
what isn't
right.
Shitting around.
This I feel like was the first episode where we stuck through the entire thing and made it good.
Yeah, and there was a lot more to the physical aspect of Chris actually making us a little dinner set, and having us able to interact with the food and each other a bit more.
Yeah, so I think that's a good S tier. Yeah, for that. First S. Holy shit, it took a long time to get us there.
I mean, we got there eventually. I'm just glad for that. In the year of our Lord 2023.
Yo, phone call! Phone call!
Yeah.
Phone call! Oh my god.
Who is it?
It's Phil. It's my buddy Phil.
Okay.
Alright, okay. Hello. Can you hear me? Okay. I need you to tell me something. Phil. When are we? When are we, Phil? No, I don't mean that. The year! What do you mean? Oh. What's he saying? I see. Thank you. Yeah, 7:30, I'll be there. I don't have to use that language. Alright, thank you. What's going on? Apparently, we are in 2023. We were just being completely stupid.
Woo! Hell yeah, baby! We moved on! Something we did there must have gotten us out. We were being dumb.
That's not a woo moment. We were just being incredibly stupid.
Well, what else is new on the Idiots in a Room podcast?
That is a fact.
Was this our Christmas and New Year's?
Yeah, this was our New Year's special where we thought it was still 2022.
Yes, okay.
We were just looking at the wrong calendar.
Alright. Well, if that was the whole bit.
I think that was probably a B tier.
Yeah, same here.
Not horrible, but it was basically just one bit that we
tried to draw out as much as we could.
Yeah, and I think we've done that okay, but it worked later on.
Nobody cares
about
Iowa.
Oh, I love this episode.
There's no purpose to being in Iowa except to say, I don't know.
I don't know either. Like
what pride is there in being an Iowayan? How do you even? What are people from Iowa called?
I think they call them Iowans.
Iowans?
Yeah, what's an Iowan? That's so stupid.
And then you just cut out the O that's at the front of your state. Why do you have the vowel there if it's not even gonna be in?
Are they trying to make it like a motivational thing? Like, I'm from Iowa, I win! No! You lose! No!
You lose.
I was terrible. Everything about Iowa. Just... yucky. Do you remember this?
Yeah, because we were just talking shit about Iowa the whole time, and then the idea was that in the middle of the episode, Iowa would be wiped from the map. I think that idea alone was just so golden.
Yeah. It doesn't sound funny on paper, but like
the reactions that we had,
yeah,
the tonal shift in the middle of the episode. Yeah, this is going up an A.
Yeah. We're like, what the fuck are we gonna do? We just wiped Iowa off the map.
Nobody cares about Iowa still.
No.
I'm sorry, Iowans, but I haven't met any of you, so fuck your state.
Oh, our vacation special.
The idiots go to the Dells.
Yeah, I'm walking in short sleeves. Here. Here I am, short sleeves, shorts in the snow on a 30-degree day in Midwest Wisconsin. Yes,
This guy is living the average Midwestern life, gonna be honest here.
Okay, so Chris, I know that you lost, or not lost, we just had like a camera battery go out and we couldn't record as much of the trip as we wanted to.
Right, so the original idea for this episode was we were going to have the camera in the car and we were going to be fighting like about going the wrong way as we're driving to the Dells. I realized that probably wasn't going to be very safe.
No.
So the idea morphed into a travelogue where we had the beginning and then we did our part at Top Secret, Ripley's Believe It or Not, and ended off with House on the Rock. But, and this is the big part of this, my camera battery died because I had forgotten to plug it in.
And then we did a recap afterwards,
right?
And then I think we had to do a second recap.
We had to do a second recap because I lost the footage on that SD card.
There was just a lot of technical errors with this one that kept it from being as good as it could have been.
Right. We wanted to do like a full travelogue video for this, but I think this was kind of a step back.
I'm willing to put this down and see.
Yeah. Even though the footage we got at Ripley's Believe It or Not was probably good enough for a video on its own, like,
it still was a bit more focused and had a bit more content to it than a lot of the episodes down here. But just because of the technical issues and hiccups, we can't put it anywhere next to these.
Yeah. But I think we should do another episode where we travel somewhere again, because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was nice just having a vacation with a friend that we planned entirely on our own. With, you know, I've only been on family trips before then, really, for the most part. So.
Yeah, that was my very first time staying overnight with anyone outside of my family, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah, so we should definitely do another trip like that eventually.
Yeah. And next time I'll bring the charger.
Yes, I might bring a camera as well, just to make sure we have a second angle. A grand night in.
Oh yeah, this is a good one. This is the quietest it has been in a long time.
I like this.
Me too. I don't like this! I don't like this! Ah! We're gonna die! We're gonna die!
Wait, there's one option left.
What is that?
Gerald, what do you think we should do?
Gerald?
Yeah, that's the camera. Dude, I've been getting to know the camera a lot better. His name's Gerald. Gerald has been talking to me, dude. Has he not been talking to you? Gerald, what the fuck, man? You gotta start talking to Chris more. He owns you.
He has been talking to me, but he's been telling me his name is Jim!
Oh, fuck.
What the fuck is this?
I think...
Are you... Have you been lying to us?
No.
Are you even a camera? Do you remember what we did here?
I don't think I do. Remind me of the premise.
Okay, so the premise for anyone that has not watched this before is that we were going to spend just a couple of days inside, like hanging out, because there was a big snowstorm coming.
That's right.
It turns out that the snowstorm was so bad that we have now been stuck in the same place together for over a week. And we are starting to get fed up with each other. And at the end of the episode,
I had a big fight with you?
No, that's coming up.
Okay.
I think the whole episode was a fight, essentially.
Sure.
But the punchline at the end was that it wasn't a snowstorm; it was a rainstorm.
We just got rained in.
So then you just leave, and I scream into the camera because we were so stupid thinking it was a snowstorm. Where would you put it? Just based on that premise alone.
Maybe low A or B.
I'm thinking low A.
Okay.
Low A tier is probably good.
I'll have to watch back to see how we reacted to each other in that episode, because the premise is okay, but the execution is probably more of what matters.
Yeah. I know that's the episode where I tried to throw the chair at you.
Oh, gosh!
I know that was the episode because that made it into the thumbnail.
You were all thinking, oh,
yeah.
Like, I remember that.
But then our next episode, and I think you'll agree with me on this, Nick.
What's this one?
Is absolutely, positively our best episode we have ever done of this show.
The Wondrous Miracles of Nick Vandevoort.
So, you wished you could forget about some of the stupidity that may have been going on in this room.
Oh.
And knowing this room, where do you think the
Yes.
stupidity came from?
Me.
Yes.
Yeah. It's always me. Chris has always been the slightly smarter between the two of us. It's not really a huge competition, but, you know, I've always held him just a little bit higher than me in that regard.
That's interesting because I've always done the same thing with you.
Oh, that's sweet.
I wish for Nick to be smarter overall than Christopher Janke. And I wish for Chris to forget about this.
I believe.
What were we talking about just now?
We were talking about the facts of life and how you fit into those facts. Mainly at the bottom of the list that says Chris can't get wishes. That is the reason that you have been denied wishes from me this whole time. It is written in the rules of life. I found it on my spiritual journey. I could show you if you want, but you know, I don't know if they'll really let me go back. It was really hard to get there in the first place.
Well, that makes me feel much better. Thank you.
Chris feels much worse, is my wish.
Aside from you putting an H there instead of a K,
I always get that wrong. I always get that wrong. I don't know why I get it wrong. It's even on the shirt. It's just something in my brain tells me that it's N-I-C-H, not N-I-C-K. I don't understand why.
Don't worry, Chris. When I eventually get an IMDb page, we're just going to confuse the hell out of everyone.
But this one was with Doug.
Yes.
And
the whole premise was that I had spent a long time on a spiritual journey and connected with the angels above, and they granted me the ability to give wishes to everybody.
Except for this guy.
Except somehow for Chris.
Yeah. And we had brought Doug onto the show to prove that he could get wishes and I couldn't. And it turns out that Doug was the one that wished for me not to get wishes. And throughout the 19 minutes, it is just total mayhem.
Yep. Us trying to figure out the rules, figuring out that the angels are maybe not as virtuous as we once thought they were.
We found out that I made a deal with the devil.
Mm-hmm. And that Doug is a terrible person, but that's okay because we wiped his memory.
And then we killed him. and then we sent him into the nether regions.
It was crazy. It was a relatively tame opener premise that we came up with, and then we just scaled it up the whole way through.
And I feel like this is the episode where we really hit our we finally did it. We finally made it through an entire episode, hitting on one joke, you know, but just adding to it.
Yeah.
And
ramping it up, pacing it out
Yeah.
well,
So-
finishing when we wanted to.
so far, I don't think it's been topped. But I think there are a couple other S tier episodes, but this is our peak. This is our
Alright.
peak.
Well, let's hope we hit another peak soon. The Idiots in a Room movie.
What's your pitch?
Yes. All right. This has been my brainchild for the past like 5-7 years.
We're gonna have to get a little bit more specific with that when we're writing your
Yes,
documentary.
Yeah, I know. But we can figure that out later. I got
Okay.
a bunch of
If you
documents
say
with
so.
dates, you know,
You're
whatever.
the professional here.
Yes, yes. So, all right. So we start with a boat, and it's going over the vast ocean.
What kind of boat?
It's like a big shipping boat from I don't know.
What era?
Uh,
Chinese era specifically.
yes, the Chinese feudal era.
All right.
They got
So
a big,
this is a period piece.
Yes, you could say that.
That's wonderful.
So they're all rowing away, and they have a huge shipment of rubber ducks in these containers that they're trying to bring over to Europe for, you know, sale.
Yes. Continue.
Yes. All right, and then the boat hits an iceberg, and all the rubber ducks fall out into the ocean.
Oh, is this going to be like the Titanic?
Kinda, because now
Wonderful.
we've
People
put-
love that movie.
Yeah, it's a very good long.
Can it be a romance movie? I like those.
Yes,
I like
we
to
can-
imagine myself as the characters in the movie.
Well, you might have a harder time doing that this time because those rubber ducks are actually the protagonists. We follow those rubber ducks as they just float through the ocean, and
I
you
say
know,
that the rubber ducks
vicariously-
shouldn't have any main part in the movie.
What?
I want to be the main character.
What? I thought you were going to be the producer.
That as well.
We made a movie, Chris.
We did make. Well, we tried to make a movie. Doug was our producer.
Yes, and we were trying to pitch something to him.
Yeah.
Was it separate ideas that we were trying to pitch?
Yeah, it was separate ideas. You had an idea, I had an idea, and he just kept making like the worst notes about every single one of those ideas, and it was very funny. The way we did it was very
Yeah,
funny.
I agree.
So, I think low S tier.
All right. Yeah, I'm willing to stick it below these two.
Yeah. So now our S tier is starting to get a little full,
Yeah,
which is nice.
This is looking like a proper tier list, Chris.
Yeah,
Look at
it took us a while to get here, but
and
we
we've
made
only
it.
got 10 left.
Wow. So next episode, what? Oh shit! Is this? Oh man, this is our fucking.
Chris and Nick's silly little fight. The
Yeah, this
beginning
is
of an
our
arc.
story arc.
Man, look, I think we need to get nitty gritty here. I have a lot of problems with this show.
You have a lot of problems with this show. What? What do you mean you have problems with this show?
You barely put in any effort. You get haphazard props,
Haphazard
half-cooked
props?
You don't even edit the whole thing at the end.
That's because it's improv. That's because it's all supposed to be improv and taking away from anything.
It's just us talking for 20 minutes.
That's
no one's
the
gonna
point.
watch
That's
it.
the point, though.
No one's gonna watch it.
Well, why do you think I brought in guest stars, huh? I brought in some guest stars, and people have watched those episodes.
Okay, yeah, there's another talking head. Woohoo! It's still not edited. There's nothing interesting. It's just a camera pointed at us at a table talking to each other. Sometimes doing ridiculous stuff. Most of the time, we're just sitting here.
We usually talk about. We've been getting into fights the last couple of episodes. That's been really driving up the numbers.
I don't
in terms of us, in terms of our podcast.
I don't want to physically fight you. The last time we did that, I got COVID from you.
Yeah, so we decided, Chris, more like when you were planning out season 2, you had always intended for there to be a plot line towards the end.
Yeah.
Where we would have a fight in the middle of one of our podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I would leave, and then we would have a few episodes with us trying to do it on our own, and
then I infiltrate your podcast.
We'll get into the rest of that later.
Yeah.
Because this was the beginning of our first story arc.
Yeah.
Which I feel like we have never done anything like this since.
No, I feel like we have something coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, not to say we'll never do it again, but
right.
This is just the one time we've done it so far.
Yeah, and I think for our very first story arc, we did it okay.
Yeah.
Like, considering, you know. So I think this is, where would you put this if you were doing this?
Well, because this is just the start and it's us fighting and breaking up by the end, a viewer who's just watching this alone might be a little confused.
Yeah.
I would feel like low A.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that is fair. Which leads us into our next episode.
The Idiot in a Room podcast. This is the only episode where it's just been this guy.
I mean, look at my set. It's so cool. It's such a cool. Oh, almost fell off. Whoa. Oh, that's a fun game. You know, I've barely even thought about that traitor Rick since last month. I forgot what I was saying.
No guests, no Nick, nothing. I decided that I'm going to do a podcast on my own. I don't need Nick because this, of course, was right after our fight.
Yes.
And basically, it's just 8 minutes of me trying to act depressed, but I'm not doing it well. I'm not doing it.
So where do you want to put this, Chris? This is your episode.
Okay, so for this episode, I'm thinking, like, if this is close to C tier,
like low B,
very low B minus.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think for what I was trying to do, I got to where I needed to be okay, where I just broke down in tears. But I don't think the build-up was okay. Like, we discussed this a little bit before starting this for future episode. I was trying to act hungover. I hadn't been hungover at that point, so I didn't really know what I was doing.
Well, that's okay. You gave it a good shot. It might be the weakest one in the story arc, but it is not by far our weakest podcast in existence.
Right. That's down here.
Yes. Yeah. We got 2 of those, and we're not going to go that low ever again.
No. And if we do, I say that's when we quit.
And we're done right there. Chris's rival.
I don't like that. We can't have the same opinion, man. That's not how it works. I'm not into it.
What?
You read the script beforehand. You know
what script?
No.
What script?
I forgot. I wrote the script. I didn't show it to him.
But why didn't you show it to me? I would have done a script you wrote. That was the whole reason that Nick left. He wouldn't give me any of his scripts.
I thought it would be funnier.
But
I kind of just didn't clue you in. I forgot about that one.
But it's not really funny to me, is it?
I don't care. Do you think the audience cares? The most popular videos are ones where you're sad and lonely, Chris. You understand that?
You know what?
You're the butt of the joke. That's the funny part.
Not always. I've had good videos where I'm not the butt of the joke that have gotten popular, like Jingle Ball Cock, for instance.
You're the butt of the joke. You're an idiot. You're parading around as a dumbass the whole video, buddy.
No, I'm making fun of a popular Christmas song that is
shit take, bad person.
Yep, this was me and Doug. And this title can go one of 2 ways. It could be, you're my rival for leaving, Or it could be Doug is my rival because in this episode he was an absolute asshole.
And not a good replacement for me at all.
No. Did you watch this episode?
I feel like I did, but I mean, I don't remember much of it because I obviously watched these at the time to just get context on the story arc because I had to continue on my end.
Yeah.
Tell me more about what you and Doug did.
Okay, so for this episode, Doug and I, the main idea was that he was just going to be taking over the show without my knowledge. Like, I invited him on, but he had ulterior motives.
Sure.
So he just starts pulling shit out of his pocket. One memorable one was when he pulls out a pool ball. And he just holds it to my head and goes, "This is a pool ball. You know what I can do with a pool ball?" Overall, it was a really funny episode. And it ends with me finding out that you have started a brand new podcast that has outsurpassed the Idiots in a Broom podcast by leaps and bounds. And my final line of the podcast is, if you'll excuse me, I have a podcast to infiltrate.
All right, which
so
us into the next one.
Yeah, I think for this episode, if I were going to put it anywhere, I would put it low A tier.
Sure.
Yeah, which leads us into our only episode that Nick has directed and edited himself.
The new look. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for pushing and
No.
interrupting. I also want to apologize again, but I forgot to bring my water bottle in here. I'm gonna just walk out and grab it real quick, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm just gonna go grab my.
Oh, Chris! What? What are you doing here? I'm your guest on your podcast.
How did you? You're Sam Sampson?
There is no Sam Sampson. I made him up.
How the hell did it? Okay, I don't even want to ask about all the lengths you went to for a fake art identity, but
it wasn't that hard actually. I just had to sell like two things in a freaking coffee shop.
Why would you go through all that effort just to get the? Why? Why are you infiltrating my show, man?
You haven't been answering my phone calls.
We're done.
No, we're not. We still have material. We still have material that we can be doing.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I have my own podcast now.
Yeah, and that pisses me off. That pisses me off to no end, my friend.
It's doing a lot better than ours was in the past.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
It's doing a lot better than your attempts at doing it right now.
Oh my god. You've been watching those?
I've been looking at the view counts. I've never been watching though. That would add to the view count.
Yes.
Ooh.
And I'll let you talk a little bit about this one.
Yeah, so Chris gave it into my hands as to what I could do with the presentation and the intro. I remember that when Chris came over to film it, in order to practice with the camera a bit, because I hadn't used it in a while, I was just filming my dog and trying to get the camera to focus on it. And so I decided to use that little clip for the intro, and I called it the Smarties in a Room. Because who needs idiots anyway, right?
Yeah.
We intellectuals, big artistic discussion. That's where we really needed to be with a podcast these days. And so I decided to invite on a guest that I had booked, a local artist.
Sam Sampson.
Sam Sampson, who looked suspiciously like Chris, but
of course I had a German accent,
so I didn't.
It wasn't.
Of course.
Of course it couldn't be me.
You were wearing a hat too. You never wear hats.
I was wearing a jacket and a hat. Yeah, I never wear hats, guys. And I had like a scarf on. I had a mask on. So I think I even took my glasses off.
Yeah, you were trying to disguise yourself as much as you could.
Yeah.
Eventually, the episode ends with me catching on about it.
Yeah.
And then initially kicking you off.
Yeah.
But I was definitely left with a sense of regret afterwards because of the way that we had fought in that episode.
Yeah. So where would you put this? Because this is your episode.
I don't know. I feel like low A again.
Okay. Low A tier.
Yeah, we can put most of the storyline at that level, I feel like.
So next episode is our season 2 finale.
Return of the King, and I
Yes.
suppose that would be me.
Yes, you are the king. So, you go and create a fraudulent podcast with fraudulent viewers and fraudulent subscribers, making a complete mockery of what we accomplished. And you decide now that you're going to crawl back here and try and make amends.
Crawl back?
Yeah. Crawl back.
Did you see me crawl through that door? I'm pretty sure I was standing on my 2 feet.
You know what I mean. You crawled back. I knew you would. I knew you would in the end.
No. Look, this is not me promising to join back or anything of that sort. I just wanted to come in here and apologize to you, and now we have it on camera, thankfully.
Is that why you wanted to? No. Look, did you think that you were going to get a pass just because it's on the camera?
Dude.
Is that what you think? Is this just a little game? Is that what this is? It's just a game to you?
I don't know, Chris. What is it to you, huh?
This is my career. I want to make this into a career.
Damn. Thank you. I'm honored. Where's my crown? You didn't give me a crown.
I didn't buy one.
You didn't give me a crown. I forgot. Chris, how can I be the king without a crown? Come on, man. That's like the whole point of royalty. You get to wear expensive shit.
That shirt costs $40.
And I got it for free? Oh, thank you, dude. Return of the King.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so this was us reconciling and deciding to continue the podcast together
Yeah.
again. And then at the end of it, we announced that I was moving away, right?
I was moving.
You were moving.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm moving to Florida.
Yes.
Yes, which was episode 15.5. We split it up in a different video. But
Interesting.
I don't count that as like part of the actual podcast.
All right,
but
yeah, if it was a separate video, then I don't count it either.
yeah. So this was the end of our arc, and since I was moving, I thought it would be good to just end the season there, because why continue with a season after you've already done your arc,
Yeah, I think we capped it off pretty well. It's just, the end of a good little story arc here. I mean, we might have had one weaker point to it, but that's by Chris's own merits. You can judge it for yourself if you want to go back and watch.
Yeah. So I think season 2, over season 1, obviously, was a triumph.
So, let me see here. I'm noticing that there are 0 season 2 episodes in the D and F tier, and
two season 2 episodes in
the C tier. Every one of them, the rest are up here.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes from season 1 that made it above C tier.
Amazing.
So if that doesn't tell you that we've improved by leaps and bounds since we started this thing, I think this proves it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this chart, as we've been filling it out, it's really showing us just that staying committed to an idea, even if it has a boggy beginning, can still pay off if you end up finding good ground with it.
Yeah.
It just might take you a good while to find that footing. Stay committed to any projects and ideas you might have. You don't know what they'll turn into.
See, we're motivational. No.
A very horrible return to form. Can you,
It's not like...
I think we're actually trapped in... I can see beyond... Listen, guys, I can see beyond what's in this space, but I can physically not move beyond it for some reason.
Yeah, the same for me. Like, I can see a weird door over there that I...
Chris, where are you right now?
I don't know. Yet all my stuff seems to be here.
Huh. Well, I'm definitely in my room.
Yeah.
That was familiar. It's just, why are you here, too?
I don't know. Is it... I mean, we were, together when we just kind of split up.
right?
I don't know about this, but I think these are the new rooms containing us idiots.
I named it that only because we were back online.
Yes,
And
we ran into a bunch of technical issues with, first we tried going back to Zencaster, which was the one that we had used for a while in the pandemic. Turns out they were just offering it as a free service only for a few years during the pandemic and a little after. Now you have to pay for it, so we hopped onto Zoom, ran into a little bit of issues setting up there. We were starting to run into the time that we had planned for the podcast.
So we just kind of did our typical catch-up episode and called it good for like 30 minutes or so, and then we stopped.
Are you willing to put this in C?
Yeah, definitely. But our next episode, we tried at least to go back to what we were doing in season 2. I don't know if it worked that well.
The business meeting of doom.
Okay.
We
I
can't
didn't
charge
want to
that.
have to
What
do this,
What
sir.
are you talking about? $1,000 for that fucking thing?
I didn't want to
That's
have
horrible.
to do this to you, sir.
What are you doing, Mr. Vandevoort? What are you doing, Mr. Vandevoort? Mr. Vandevoort, what are you doing? What are you writing, Mr. Vandevoort? I think you're writing. Why aren't you answering me, Mr. Vandevoort?
All right, I think this has been a very successful meeting. I would like to thank anyone who bore witness to the dawn.
I was the CEO of Buy All Corp. You were trying to sell me a product, and we did that bit for about 15 minutes. Then at the end of it, I died.
Yep.
And I was trying to signal to you that was the end of the episode, but you want to keep going.
I was like, are we done already? It's only been 15 minutes.
I think low B tier, if you're cool with that.
I'm okay with that too. I feel like we stuck to a skit again, but it just didn't turn out as well as some of the rest that we've done. Chris goes red.
Yeah, so I definitely got some practice in. It wasn't anything formal, but oh my gosh, you're flashing red.
Yeah.
His blood is boiling, everyone. He really wants to get that music going now.
What the hell? Okay. We've been having technical issues all day, folks. This is. Okay, is it done?
You know, we've never promised ourselves to be the highest quality podcast, but yes, it is fixed now.
Okay. Yeah, we've never promised the highest quality. We've always promised something. I don't know what that something is, but we sure promised it. I don't know if we've delivered it.
So we had a lot of technical issues, more than the first episode.
Yes, yep.
Also, I do want to say that we had tried to record a third Halloween special, or no, a fourth one.
Yeah,
a fourth special, but I lost the footage on my end. It was just too garbled on my end to do anything with, so we decided not to use it.
That's happened an unfortunate number of times.
Yes. So there's a good almost year gap between season 3 episode 2 and season 3 episode 3.
Jeez, that is a good. That's longer than I thought it was.
Yeah, several months at least. But in any case, this episode we had a lot of technical issues again, and we decided, like, just to end it after 45 minutes.
Yeah, because it just wasn't working out too well.
Right. So what I did was I was like, I can't just sit here and let this be another lost episode. I'm going to go in and I'm going to take this 45 minutes of footage that isn't very good and I edited it down to like 20 minutes. And what I did was you can watch it in the video, but I put in about 30 hours. like
most of that was him.
Over multiple days, I put in so much time into editing this thing down to where it was actually watchable.
Would you say that you learned more about video editing through that experience?
Oh, I did. And frankly, it's not an experience I want to have again.
That's okay. Look, you only have to struggle so many times when learning a skill like this.
Right. So I think just on that merit, I'm willing to put it in A tier unless you have a different thought.
Low A.
Yeah.
I feel like the technical issues keep holding it back, but there's definitely a level of quality that still exists because you tried to put in the effort to make it better.
So next episode is we decided that we're not going to do any more out of person podcasts again because they just don't work at this point.
We're just fine with doing skits for the rest of our history here.
Yeah.
It seems to be the direction that's worked out for the most part, so why not?
Yeah.
And I had the grand idea of a grand chess match.
I'm so sorry. You haven't started yet, have you?
Yes, I
shit.
actually have, 'cause I figured,
all right.
It's 11 past 5.
Oh, damn it.
You should have been here by now.
I'm so sorry. Traffic was horrible today, and what's this?
Oh, have you never seen one of these before?
I mean, yes, I have seen a chessboard before, but why is it here?
Well, because today is our chess episode. I don't know. Chess?
No.
What?
Today was supposed to be our Olympic special.
Olympics?
Yeah, we were supposed to do the Olympic special today.
How did I get those two mixed up?
I don't know.
We had a chess special planned, right?
Not to my knowledge. Did Cindy say anything about it? Did Cindy say anything about a chess special? Nodding. She's nodding no. So Cindy did not say anything about a chess special.
I asked Chris if he had a chessboard here on a whim, and he did because I've been learning chess recently. And I decided why not teach him a few of the different crazy variants of chess, like troll chess.
I honestly thought he was going to teach me how to play like an actual game of chess. And I'm like, can we really base a podcast episode on that?
It was more interesting than you thought it was.
It was, and it turned out to be a pretty good episode, I think.
So, where would you want to put it?
I think high A.
Alright.
High A tier is pretty good.
I think that's pretty good too.
Yeah. And then our latest episode to date, which is our fastest growing in popularity episode.
The new Olympic Games. Why are you people watching this one?
Oh my god!
You heard it here first, folks.
We're saved!
Baseball coming to the Olympics 2024.
And you know something? I think that because baseball is gonna be in the Olympics, the rest of this list is correct.
Oh no!
Crocodile diving! Alligator gymnastics! I don't know what I'm saying!
Dude.
Those contestants are gonna be cooked!
I don't know what's worse, us being audited or this being real. What's real anymore? What's real?
Free fall! Free fall!
Do they have a parachute? Or are they just falling?
To their death!
What about the cannon? the cannon!
Well, probably because we put it up during the Olympics.
Yeah, you know, it was seasonal and we just hit it at the right time.
But I think this one was very good. It was. I think it's our best episode of this season so far.
Yeah, we just had a lot of fun. The idea was that we had a confidential list of the new events going on at the Olympic Games, including grenade football and
alligator diving
and bar fighting
and free falling
and break dancing. I mean, come on.
Oh my god, who would have thought breakdance? I mean, that's so stupid. That's so fucking stupid, right?
Wait, that was real?
That was real?
I think I remember watching that event. It was real.
Oh, I do remember somebody doing like this. I really hope they don't bring that back because wow. Holy fuck. Anyway, I'm comfortable putting this somewhere. Where would you put it if you had to put it somewhere?
I think A tier as well, unless you think it's worthy of S. I know it's our most watched one recently, but I feel like it's on the same level.
I think A is okay for this. And now we've come to the end, which means it's time to go through and rank all of them, worst to best.
So at the very, very bottom,
America's Fuck 2, Idiot the Third, Life is Hell, America's Fucked 1. It's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. And we nailed it the first time. A gay old time. I Love the Rain. What Are We Even Doing? Another Podcast in the Wall. How True is the Sorrow of the Lonely? Take Me Out to the Football Game. I See, said the blind man. We reached 10, now what? The Halloween Special. God Hates Everyone. 3 heads are better than 2. It's just the 2 of us. New Year's Idiots! A very horrible return to form. The idiots go to the Dells. On your left, you'll see nothing. A very special Christmas special. Another Halloween special. Here we go again. Many will die. The Idiot in a Room podcast. Business Meeting of Doom. An extended history of time. In the year of our Lord 2023, I kind of met the Dead Man, the Wacky Whalers, the Great Easter Bunny Hunt, March God Madness, Chris Goes Red, The New Look, Chris's Rival, Chris and Nick's Silly Little Fight, A Grand Night In, We're Back and We're Sorry, The New Olympic Games, The Grand Chutz Match, The Return of the King, Nobody Cares About Iowa, yet another Halloween special, It Never Ends, The Idiots in a Room movie, the one where they talk about Thanksgiving, and the wondrous miracles of Nick Vandevoort. And that is our tier list.
Chris, there's a lot of litter on the floor now.
I know there is. Yeah.
Why did we do that?
I don't know.
I mean, I was willing to rip off the bottom 2 because they suck so much, and then you just kept going, and I was like, okay, yeah, we'll just rip off the whole tier list that we spent the whole however long assembling, I guess.
Yeah, that was kind of stupid.
All right.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Did we rank this episode?
We didn't rank this episode yet.
Oh my gosh, Chris.
Oh, what are we gonna? Oh wait,
we just took
wait
the rest of them off.
Wait a minute. I have it right here.
Cool. He's always prepared.
Yeah, if I can peel these apart here. There, I got it. If you will, you've been doing it the whole time. Here you go. You can.
Okay.
You can bring it up to the.
Let me think about this. We got the 50. I learned how to count yesterday. The 51st. Edition spectacular.
It's the 51st episode spectacular.
I can't read either.
So where do you think this episode goes?
Well, it's definitely not F tier.
No.
I think it's at least above C.
Yeah, I think so.
Let me think about this. You know what, Chris? I'm not really feeling that it could be contained to any one tier because it's so. We're ranking ourselves right now over the last. I mean, this is.
Yeah, this episode is so transformative. It's so perfect. I think we gotta do something very drastic here.
I think we're gonna need to turn over this board.
All right, let's turn over the board now. The tier of all tiers of this episode is our greatest triumph ever. So thank you all for watching this amazing episode. Thank you, Nick, for going on this journey with me. And we are so excited to be at 51 episodes, and we're going to continue for as long as we feel like.
It's never going to get better than this.
Nope.
You're watching the best one.
Yep, you're watching the best thing of all time.
That's why you watched this whole video, to figure out which one the best one was. You just watched it.
You did just watch it.
You got pranked, son.
This has been the Idiots in a Room podcast. Thank you so much for sticking with us all this time. If you have been, if you're new, welcome. If you're old, welcome back.
You got a great judgment of where to jump back into our history.
So, thanks for watching this. I've been Chris Janke, and with me as always is
Nifty Nick V.
Yes, and we will see you next time on the Idiots in a Room podcast. Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.